seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. We have a liftoff. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
Funny thing about dreams is the nightmare required to make them real. The soft allure of comfort and imagine tomorrow devoid of the cost required to make it reality. The colonization of Mars was always such a dream. The orange giant in its cold and vast deadness called humanity like a siren, only to draw us in with the warmth and delicate peace of New World, just to be smashed upon the rocks of reality. No one was prepared for what was to come. The moon had been colonized easily enough. Since the 1960s, the colonists of the American Empire and the Soviet Union spread across the surface of our moon like a fungus. In the decades to follow, just as the old world had been divided into flags, the new frontier cut the surface of Earth's moon into sections. Vast swaths of emptiness lay beneath still flags which faded under the unfiltered light of the sun. In the early 2000s, the first colony had been erected on Mars. Probes spread across our solar system. Dozens of beacons began blinking on screens back home as station after station went online. By the year 2030, the first city of Mars had its own breathable biosphere, its own forest, metropolis, and theme park. In their hubris, the Americans named it New Washington. More cities followed, of course: New Moscow, Hangzhou, St. Petersburg, and great domes of glass housing breathable air, water, and crops spread across the surface of Mars. And most importantly of all the resources of the colonies, people. The moons of Mars came next, with Titan and the orbital habitat Utopia being the most significant. This was known as the golden age of space exploration, when even the poorest member of the human race could just get on a ship and forge a new life out among the stars. The governments of Earth were more than happy to ship their beleaguered, poor laboring masses abroad, filled with dreams of wealth and a new home that countless went willingly, only to find that life in the colonies was not much better than life back home, sometimes even worse. The early colonies were cramped, the recycled air stale, the food always tasted the same, and the water stunk of purifying chemicals. The differing gravity had a large role to play in comfort, as the rich often turned to pressurized abodes where they could enjoy the gravity and atmosphere of Earth in their gardens, while the poor labored in the elements wearing cheap suits. The year 2050 came and went, marking the first mining ship to reach the asteroid belt, the farthest humans had ever reached in their history. But when the captain of the arriving vessel tried to establish communication with Earth, he was met with a disturbing silence. By the time the message had reached the asteroid belt, the year was 2060, and the Third World War had long ended. With horror, the colonists learned that their homes had been altered. The silent hour was what they came to call it. No nuclear weapons, no armies colliding, no strange weapons of fiction. It was the most boring war anyone had ever heard of. The moon's residents spent years relaying reports and commands from Earth to her colonies, citing what they could see of the home world of humanity. Entire continents had gone dark. The currency of nations was worthless, as many governments collapsed while billions perished. What emerged was darker than anything people of the past could dream of. A single government, forged from the ashes of the old world, proclaimed itself as the unified Earth. Never again would flags be raised. Never again would nations war one another. Peace was here, and so it remained, according to them. Year 2150, Earth demands tribute. With stringent social castes, a quarter of the pre-war population, and burgeoning noble class unwilling to lower their standard of living, Earth found itself in need. Hiding behind the facade of noble democracy, the shadow oligarchy of the one world government began levying the colonies for food, minerals, and most importantly, people. Families that had spent generations in the colonies found themselves indentured as Earth recalled their debts. The program, which has sent millions of low-income settlers abroad, was now used as a wealth reclamation tool. They were children of Earth after all, and they had done so out there among the stars. Why shouldn't they send a little back home? Year 2280, 130 years of crippling tribute. Entire cities amidst the colonies have gone dark. Battalions of the Earth Defense Force, the only legal army in the solar system, patrolled the cities of the remaining colonies, protecting corporate interests, crushing protests, quelling riots, and silencing anyone who dared to speak up. Year 2281, the New Washington Massacre. 50 protesters were killed by Earth Defense Corps military police. The coverage had been taken down from the local news stations, but word got out fast. Across the colonies, the videos of uniformed Earthers killing colonists spread. Year 2282, the president of Earth is shot by an unknown assailant in his car. The Parliament of Earth dissolves as a bomb threat emerges. Weeks later, a cell of terrorists from Mars claimed responsibility. The Earth Defense Force sent 150,000 troopers with an armada of 100 warships to answer this slight. Year 2283, war. It started on the moon as cells of resistance bombed shipyards and military facilities. The rebellion on the moon ended as swiftly as it began, as reinforcements from Earth arrived swiftly, violently putting down anyone who dared to stand up. The news channeled blaring sports events as the evidence of the genocide was deleted. As far as anyone was concerned, the rebellion was not yet happening. However, Mars and its moons became a bastion of valiant defiance. The proclaimers of liberty hiding amidst the shadows as the EDF searched in vain. The people of Mars were tough, and they needed to be in order to tame such a lifeless world. There were hardly any resources on Mars. Everything needed for life had been shipped in or grown in special facilities. Despite this, the colonists on Mars deemed themselves independent in all but name. Rivers and streams had slowly begun to trickle across the orange sands as the city spread. Mars was soon becoming independent. The atmosphere was not yet entirely terraformed. The process to make the air breathable on Mars had slowed due to the crippling taxes of Earth. Yet in some locations, a person could take off their helmet and take a stale and quick breath. From this blossoming world of hope and stoic conquering of the dead environment came the spirit of independence. Mars became the home of revolution, as soldiers and poets alike flocked to a new haven of free speech and thought. Night and day, the pirate networks of Mars blasted their speeches and censor-free music across the radio waves, citing Earth as the great tyrant. Meanwhile, the orbital colonies of Venus and the mine networks of the asteroid belt declared neutrality. And so, the war between Earth and Mars begins. Year 2290, no end in sight, was originally a special military intervention between the Earth Defense Force and local law enforcement to apprehend political extremists in a few short weeks, had transformed into a 7-year slog, a war of insurgency, a conflict of zip bombs deleting warship navigation computers, drones killing generals, prostitutes slitting the throats of officers in their quarters, snipers on rooftops killing in the dead of night, guerrilla squads striking fuel depots and disappearing the caves of Mars. As far as Earth was concerned, this was a catastrophe. The Earth Defense Force found itself fighting a war of ideals, trying to win over the hearts and minds of the colonists while videos circulated of them burning down oxygen farms, killing scientists, and even hanging teenagers in front of City Hall. Year 2300, the 13. 13 figures emerged from Mars, each of their exploits stuffed legend. The government of Earth was quick to dispel their fame as disinformation, and that the resistance was in fact losing, that the colony could come back to the fold soon enough, all of which cannot be further from the truth. Year 2311, 50 million dead. Entire colonies have gone dark, Titan being the last moon colony of Mars left standing. Utopia has been occupied by Earth Defense Force, its resorts and artificial beaches used for R&R by the weary EDF troopers. Battles were now being waged on the surface of Earth itself, as resistance cells spread. Mars was still independent, now with an army comprised of natives and volunteers from across the solar system, led by the 13. In desperation, Earth needed an answer to this unending conflict. Year 2312, orbital bombardment. In a final act of tyranny, Earth decided an example needed to be made: compliance or death. October the 11th, 2312, at noon, the Navy of the EDF unleashed their full fury onto the surface of Mars. Both friend and foe alike fell to nuclear bombardment, as the infrastructure required to keep life going on the cold and barren orange planet was washed away in fire. Mars was to be the example. If anyone dared again oppose the rightful rule of humanity's home world, then he only looked to Mars. The 13 and their army were gone. The cities were gone. Millions dead, as any remaining survivors were doomed. From orbit, the ships of the EDF broadcast surveillance footage of the scorched surface, showing their triumph. As the surveillance footage was broadcast, the horrified remaining colonies would see what happened if they too rebelled. As the nobles of Earth clinked to their glasses of champagne, smiling while they watched their screens, the horrified crowds in the colonies gazed upon their portals. As the footage came in, people could still be seen wandering Mars, drifting amidst the shattered husks of their ruined cities, farms, and life sustainment facilities. No communication could be made. The people on Mars were in the Dark Age. Year 2315, 2 years post-bombardment. The lights in New Washington turned back on. Whispers coursed through the data networks. The 13 yet lived, staying in the shadows, keeping the fire of civilization going. Rumors spread a Marine division of the EDF had landed and attempted to retake the city, only to be killed almost entirely. No records of this could be found on the official records, of course, but a copy of a memorandum detailing the catastrophic losses made its way around the pirate networks. Year 2320, the government of Earth declares total victory. The Great Suppression had come to an end. May 15th, year 2320, Parliament of the Solar System forms. Never again will humanity doom another world. Humanity as a species would face the stars anew and united, but no one was fooled. While the portal spewed endless news cycles of harmony and victories on Earth, the greatest genocide in the history of the human race was quietly hidden. Years passed, and soon even the surveillance footage of the surface of Mars was cut off. Year 2350, the EDF unofficially stations a permanent garrison on Titan, as the fleet keeps a presence in the orbit of Mars. Some said it was a blockade, others said a reminder. Whatever the reasoning was, something lurked in the crevices of Mars. Large heat signatures could be seen from satellites amidst the vast tunnel network beneath the planet's surface. Someone was still down there. Year 2600, life dominates Earth again. The great skylines of cities once again rise above the clouds. Electric grids sprawl across the continents as the resources of the solar system continue to make Earth a paradise for a few and a gilded cage for the many. Meanwhile, on the moon, the University of Luna sent forth its scholars across the solar system, advancing research and arts. The orbital habitat of Utopia became a resort for the wealthiest individuals in the solar system. Titan remained a fortress world. The asteroid belt blossomed with sprawling cities and vast mining colonies. The orbital gas harvester of Venus fueled the ship's humanity as explorers traveled beyond our solar system. Meanwhile, behind the wall of censorship, orbital blockade, and digital suppression by the intelligence agency of Earth, something loomed amidst the orange sands of Mars. Something ancient, something that stirred within the chest of all press within the chapters of history. Hi there, my name's Simon, and I'm an author. I originally made the soapbox to convey my love for science fiction and lore, but I did have a hidden agenda. You see, I've written 7 books. Now, these books I've written are reflective of my love for science fiction. I enjoy lore, I enjoy world building, and I wanted to create a book series that someone like me, a sci-fi nerd, would absolutely enjoy reading. As of today, I'm going to start making lore videos for my universe, the Godfall Chronicles. If you enjoy space operas like Mass Effect, Star Wars, Warhammer, Red Rising, or even The Foundation, I think you're going to like my work. Stay tuned. Godfall Chronicles coming soon.